Do you really know just how heavy 24 hours of metal music really is? About the weight of your mobile phone. Download our free andrewhogue.com iPhone and Android apps now. That way, you'll never be far away from us. This is Andrew Hogue, of course, on andrewhogue.com, Australia's only 24/7 rock metal radio station, and a big thank you to the guys of Soundworks Touring to make this happen. This very rare and exclusive competition that we held here on andrewhogue.com over the last few weeks for lucky fans who are attending the upcoming Cannibal Corpse Australian tour, which actually kicks off tomorrow night in Perth, to get the chance to actually interview one of the members of the band. And we do have drummer extraordinaire Mr. Paul Mazurkiewicz from Cannibal Corpse on the line to, of course, answer these questions, which we really don't know what he's in for because we have not screened any of these questions. It was pretty much an open approach here to have the fans ask Paul anything. So let's say g'day to Paul first. Are you there, Paul?
Yes, I am.
Welcome to andrewhogue.com, and of course this could be a bit of a roasting here with a couple of these diehard fans on the line. But let's go around the table right now and just sort of name check the folks that we have. We should have Dylan Porter from Sydney. Are you with us, Dylan?
I'm with you.
Very good. Let's go to Brisbane. We should have Claudia Ghazi on the line with us.
Yeah, right here.
Nice to speak to you, Claudia. As well, let's head to Perth for Oliver Udall.
Hey, how you doing?
Very good. And let's hit Melbourne with Sean Geitman.
How you going?
Very good. And Kane Hardy, who's actually from Perth, but due to age restrictions, he is flying all the way across to Adelaide for the Fowlers Live show happening on Wednesday. G'day, Kane. How you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Alrighty, well, let's kick it off and we'll get Claudia to ask the very first question that she wants to, ask Paul. So, fire away.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Well, happy birthday, first of all. And I'm just keen to see, from a female fan's point of view, and with the brutal lyrics and sound that you guys produce, what do you guys like as romantics? Are you, the way your lyrics are inclined?
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the birthday wishes, first off. I think, our lyrics, of course, are just all fictional based, and they're just horror stories, and that's all, what we portray in our lyrics, basically. And they obviously don't portray us as human beings, as people, So I would say that we're far from our lyrics in any sort of any way mentally, So yeah, romantically, I would think we're not going to be, playing songs off of our records and citing lyrics and living our lyrics that way. That's just not who we are as people. But we do, of course, like to portray these ideas and lyrics in our music and through Cannibal Corpse. But as people, we are definitely very different. And I would not link any of the lyrics to what we do personally and how we are personally. So.
All right, let's go to Sydney and ask Dylan Porter. He has a question for Paul. Fire away, Dylan.
Hi there, Paul. Just a quick question about the new album. I mean, we've been able to listen to one song so far, but can you tell us what else we can expect from A Skeletal Domain?
Well, I think more of the same, really. More of Cannibal Corpse, really. I know we're waiting so long for this album to be released for you guys to hear it, and for all the fans throughout the world, of course. It's an exciting time. But man, we really feel that this is some of our best material that we've done. It's just kind of, going off of what we did with Torture, kind of keeping the same vein going. But I really think we hit the nail on the head more so with some great songs, some really catchy, brutal, intense Cannibal Corpse songs. Great production. Great precision in our playing. I think we've played, better than we ever have. We're always constantly trying to move forward in any capacity. I think you guys are really going to dig this album. If you like Sadistic Embodiment, which is really just the tip of the iceberg, I think, in terms of the songs and the songwriting and structures and what have you. This is the tip of the iceberg. But I really like this album a lot, and I think you guys are going to enjoy it as well.
Well, let's go with Kane Hardy. Of course, as I mentioned earlier on, he is actually flying from Perth to Adelaide for the show due to the age restrictions that we have in certain states in this country, which has always been a blow for a lot of younger fans. What question do you have for Paul Kane?
I'll start off with asking, what is your opinion on the situation on a lot of metal shows being over 18?
Yeah, I mean, that's it's not a good thing, really. We grew up in the States here where everything was pretty much all ages, Some states are different in America here, where you may have some older shows like that, where it's actually like a 21 and over, which is even worse, I think. But yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, unfortunately, it's out of our control. We have there's nothing we can do in these situations. It just comes down to the local governments and the countries and, all that you're playing in. I mean, yes, in a perfect world, of course, we would never want to play shows that are restricted in any way for any age group, because we know there are some fans right at that age. If you're 16, 17 years old, you're unfortunately out of luck for some of these dates, which is very unfortunate. I wish there was something we could do about that, but there really isn't. And, I guess all we can do is, you wait it out. You're able to go to another show, which is great, at least. It's just the unfortunates of depending on where you live in the world and depending on how what your restrictions are and all that. So, yeah, it stinks when we hear stuff like that, that's for sure.
Well, let's head to Melbourne. Sean Geitman, what question do you have for Paul from Cannibal Corpse?
Hey, Paul, happy birthday, mate. A lot of people would probably ask about what's your best tour memory, so I'm going to go on the opposite of that and say, what's your worst ever tour memory?
Well, thank you for the birthday wishes. I appreciate it. Probably one of my worst tour memories is when I got kind of stabbed in the side of my abdomen here with a key in Holland on a tour back in '94, I think it was. It wasn't a fun time, The show was over, and we're just hanging around the bus and waiting to kind of leave, and before we know it, there's a fight going on outside with a bunch of local drunken hoodlums, I guess, make a long story short, before I know it, I'm looking down, and I got a hole basically in my side, and I see blood flowing down, and, I thought I was, I don't know what I thought at that point. Yeah, you see blood coming out, you're hurt, you think, okay, great, I'm going to fall down in a minute, and I'm done, that's it. So luckily that didn't happen, but went to the hospital. They had to take me in the ambulance and all that, and come to find out, I just had a superficial kind of wound on my side there, and they deemed that I probably got stabbed with a key. And luckily, it was a key and not a knife or something, because who knows what would have happened. But yeah, that was it was a memory that unfortunately I'll never forget, I guess. And I'm glad I can talk about it now, because it wasn't fun when it was the second show of the tour as well, and we were in Europe for a whole month and having to. Luckily, everything went on as planned, and we weren't able to. We didn't have to cancel any shows or anything. But yeah, not a fun thing when you're getting keyed in the stomach, in the beginning of a tour like that. So not fun.
Makes for some good lyrical inspiration, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Well, let's head to Perth, and Oliver Udall, what question do you have for Paul?
Oh, hey, Paul. I was sort of wondering what sort of drum kit you'll be bringing with you on the Australian tour.
Well, I've been using D Drums, which is basically the company that Dean Guitars, and they're out of Tampa over here. I'm sure everybody's heard of at least Dean Guitars before. But yeah, D Drum is what I've been using, and we'll see what I get in the in Australia there when we're there, because they're a good company, but they're not like this huge company where, oh yeah, no problem, we got 30 D Drum kits hanging around. I already got wind from our tour manager and all that. There was a couple issues of obtaining a couple of D Drums sets in certain cities. So I believe I may be playing on different ones here and there. So yeah, the way we travel, well, unfortunately, going internationally, is we're not able to just bring all our stuff from home, which is what we would love to do, but just, it's not cost effective, and we end up having to, get drum sets and amplifiers and all that stuff when we're over there. So So I should be having some decent D-drum kits over there, and maybe not. It's kind of one of these things, I guess. Well, I'll find out when I get there. But either way, I'll have something quality, and I'm sure the drums will be sounding ticking. So that's going to be a definite, that's for sure.
Well, for those who have just tuned in, this is, of course, the Cannibal Corpse Q&A for the lucky winners who participated in our recent competition leading up to the band's Australian tour that kicks off tomorrow night in Perth. We do have drummer Paul Mazurkiewicz on the line here talking to the 5 lucky winners, and we're going to throw to a Cannibal Corpse track right now, and I'm going to put it in the hands of Oliver Udall. What track do you want to hear? Just a random Cannibal Corpse song. Your choice, buddy.
All right, I would like to hear Decency Defied, please.
And we're back. Of course, this is the Cannibal Corpse Q&A for the lucky competition winners who are now getting up close and personal with drummer Paul Mazurkiewicz with a crazy dog in the background barking. Let's go with...
Yeah, sorry about that.
Let's go with Kane Hardy from Perth, but flying to Adelaide for the show. What is your next question you have for Paul, Kane?
What do you think where the future of like death metal or just heavy music in general is going?
Well, I think that's a good question, but I think that it's just going in the up. It's just constantly moving forward and getting more popular, and more people are getting into it. I mean, you look at how extreme music, all started out, way back in the 80s and all that, and it's relatively new, in the whole scheme of things, I guess. So you fast forward, till now, and we look at how we've progressed and how the fan base has progressed and changed over the years. I mean, there's just more people into it, I mean, generations have come and gone, since we've started, and you just see, constant new fans coming into the fold, which is a great thing. And, when we play festivals, like, for instance, we just did the Mayhem Festival in the United States here, and there was a bunch of different kinds of extreme music, not just death metal, of course, and you have thousands of people coming to these shows on a daily basis, and they're pretty huge. I mean, so I just think it's just getting bigger and better, and, I mean, it's just expanding. There's so many different genres nowadays, you can't even keep up, but I think it's a good thing for death metal and extreme music. It just shows that society is changing a little bit and accepting this kind of music a lot more so. So I think it's on the rise, and it will constantly be on the rise. And, before you know it, we're going to be talking about, the old days, the old school death metal days, and, and it'll be a fun time. So it's great that it's doing as well as it is, that's for sure.
Well, let's go to Claudia in Brisbane. What question do you have for Paul, Claudia?
Hello.
Hi.
Being a drummer and having a completely different perspective to the rest of the band, what would you say would be the craziest thing you've seen, either thrown up on stage or just at a gig in general?
There hasn't been a lot of that kind of over our careers. I mean, or throughout our career, I should say. We've had our share of things thrown up on stage, especially in the early days, I guess, when I think I seem to recall kind of like a bag of, like pig parts or something getting thrown on stage once at some festival, and like a pig hoof being kind of like kicked around. That's a little weird, Luckily, we don't have too much of that stuff going on. It would be very difficult to perform up there when you constantly got things thrown at you. So we've been spit at plenty of times down in South America. They love to do that, and actually we just played a show on this last recent tour where Pat almost got hit with a firework, like a bottle rocket. Somebody was shooting some fireworks in the crowd, and you almost got hit with one of those. That was a first. That never usually happens. But yeah, we've been very fortunate to for nobody really to get injured majorly, because you hear some stories, and you see some things where people can get hit with bottles, and I mean, that's just it's not good. So fortunate, knock on wood, that none of that has majorly happened to us, and we'll just keep on kicking and doing our thing. So.
All right, well, Dylan Porter from Sydney, do you have a question for Paul?
Yeah, sure. So, Paul, I believe it's your 5th time here in Australia with the band. Just wondering, what are some of your favourite things to do when you're over in Australia?
Well, just being there is awesome. I mean, it's such a different so it's different, but it's not that different. It's kind of weird going there. I mean, we have a sense of, it reminds us a lot of the states and a lot of Florida, since we're here in Florida as well. And so it's got an American vibe to it for us, I guess, a little bit, more so than say anywhere else in the world. And but man, the culture, I love it. The animals, I mean, we don't have animals, of course, like that what you guys have. So I remember the one time when we actually got to see kangaroos in the wild. I mean, I know it seems crazy for you guys, but for us, it's a big deal, So it was cool to be able to witness some nature. Love to do that again. I'd love to actually see some more if possible. Some koalas or just anything. I love that. So that was cool. Of course, seeing like the Opera House in Sydney and the usual kind of just touristy kind of stuff. I mean, it's always fun to just to say you were there and you've seen some major landmarks. But it's tough because half the time we don't have a lot of time. When we come over, I wish we had more time to do more things. On this trip, I noticed we'll have our we're just here for we got a day, and then the shows start here basically, and then we got 5 in a row, and then we're done. So unfortunately, we don't have as much time as we would love to actually just kind of hang around and do more things. But it's such a beautiful country. We love going, and we're very excited to be here, of course.
Well, let's head over to Perth now. And Oliver Udall, what question do you have for Paul?
Okay, I was wondering if there were any particular challenges in recording the new album, any particular interesting stories in the process, anything like that?
Well, there's always something a little bit, I guess. You want to hope you can get into the studio with relative ease and get through it with relative ease, and I think we did for the most part on this session. I think the big thing is, if we're going to talk with what I went through, a little interesting kind of tidbit here. And I've been using a lighter pair of sticks, for the last couple of years. I'm constantly just kind of changing things up with, like most drummers probably do. You're always fiddling and messing with things, and I've been doing that a lot over the years, just trying to hone my skill and trying to fine tune everything. But anyways, I was using a fairly light pair of sticks for the last few years, and we wrote the whole record, and I was ready to go and record. It's February now. We're in the studio, and we're just about to start. And Mark Lewis, the producer, says to me, he goes, "Hey, man, these are the sticks you're using." He goes, "Man, I'd really love if you could. It would be great if we could try a heavier pair of sticks, man. It would sound so much better. The drums will just have much more impact, and with more velocity behind the hitting and everything." And I was for a second there, I was just like, "You're kidding me, right?" Because I've been, telling a drummer something like that is just, it's not a good thing. I don't want to hear these things, especially since, like I said, I was playing with these sticks for years, and I'm ready to go. You throw a different weight in my hands, well, things are going to be a little different. Here we go, we're starting to record. So, but you know what? I said, all right, I'll do it. Let's try it. Let's give it a whirl. If you think it's going to work and you think it's going to be better and it's going to benefit the record, well, then I'll do it, even though I know it's going to be a lot of, very difficult for me to kind of just jump right into that, and I did, and I think it turned out great. I'm glad we did. I'm glad Mark made that suggestion. It was a little more harder, like I said, for me to just get through everything because my arms were just killing me for the week because of just having that change right there. And it's usually a change I don't want to make, especially when we're just going to start recording, as opposed to, if I was told that maybe like a week earlier, okay, I may have had some time to adjust, but I didn't. So I did it on the fly. We did it that way, and it ended up being beneficial to the recording. So it was pretty cool that Mark suggested that. And like I said, I'm glad he did.
Well, I'm going to jump in for a quick question here, Paul. I've seen I think it was the last Cannibal Corpse DVD a while ago, anyway, where you put your back out a few times and you had to sort of hang up and hang upside down. I mean, how is your sort of posture and your I guess back when it comes to playing drums these days, especially doing it for so many years?
Right. It's doing well, and it was very ironic and strange when that occurred, because, we're making the DVD, of course, the making of, so all the cameras are rolling. That was the only time that has ever happened to me when I was playing drums like that. I've thrown my back out a few times, of course, but it's never been from actual drumming like that. so when it all happened back in the torture session, it was just like, wow, this is just crazy, and this is just such a, we got it on video, but it's nothing that occurs all the time, like I have some chronic back issue, So it just, go figure, it happened then. We had to do something to rectify that. Obviously, you saw what I did, got out on the stretcher and, did what we had to do to try to alleviate any of this pain for us to continue on. Otherwise, we would have just had to have stopped and lost half a day, and, we're wasting money and time and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think I've been, ever since that occurrence, it's never happened again while I was drumming. And yes, like I was just talking about, I've been just constantly trying to, to improve myself, my posture, my dynamics, and all that kind of stuff, the physics of everything, to be able to, to hopefully not go through that. I mean, it's obviously still possible because, yes, we're human and we're getting older, all that kind of stuff, and what we do is very physical. But yeah, knock on wood, luckily it's never happened to me again, and I hopefully it won't ever again. So.
Well, let's go to Claudia in Brisbane. You can choose a random Cannibal Corpse track to kick into a quick break. What song do you want to hear, Claudia?
Score Divine.
And we're back. Of course, this is the Cannibal Corpse Q&A for those lucky winners who participated in the up-and-coming Cannibal Corpse Australian Tour competition. We want to thank the guys at Soundworks Touring for being a part of this, and also to the time of Paul Mazurkiewicz, which we do have on the line now, the drummer for Cannibal Corpse, chatting with Dylan Porter from Sydney, as well as Claudia Ghazi from Brisbane. Oliver Udall from Perth is present with us, as well as Sean Geitman in Melbourne. And from Perth, but flying all the way to Adelaide due to the age restriction, is Kane Hardy with us as well. Let's kick into some more questions now, and let's go with Sean Geitman in Melbourne. What question? Another question do you have for Paul?
Paul, in regards to career-wise, if you couldn't be in music, like nothing to do with music, what would you do for a career?
Well, that's a good question, and it's a tough one to answer. I mean, I had one interest growing up other than music, and that was playing ice hockey. I started playing ice hockey when I was 5 years old, and I played it through my whole youth up until I was basically 17 years old. And, I was okay, I thought. I guess if I really wanted to pursue it, I would have had to have gone farther, gone to college, or gone to, play junior hockey, or taking it to that next level, which is a big commitment, of course. And I loved it. I still love it. So, I always thought, well, yeah, you're dreaming large, you're young, it'd be great to be a hockey player. But, music took over, and I ended up going that route. So, it's kind of like the what ifs, the who knows, would I have been able to make it as a hockey player? Who knows? I guess we'll never know that. I guess I could have tried, and, and if that didn't happen, then yes, I don't know what I would have done, because I never really had any other interests and any other desires, and music took over, and didn't really do much in the way of graduated high school but never went to college. Music took over my life, and that's what I do now. But so I would have loved to think back and think that I would have been able to be a hockey player, and that would have been a great career. But and if that didn't happen, then who knows what I would be doing.
Well, let's head to Sydney now. Dylan Porter, what's your question for Paul?
Yeah, Paul, just curious, what's a usual day in the life for you when you're back at home and not touring?
Just kind of like everybody else, just like we're normal people, we all have families and, lives and all that kind of thing, obviously, but I think we just like to keep to ourselves and just do, normal daily things. I mean, with me, it's being with my family, my daughter, she's 8.5 years old, and we have animals. You can hear the dog barking in the background that won't shut up. So it's just kind of doing family stuff, just being around home, just kind of enjoying being home. I'm fairly simple in that way. I don't need to be, doing a lot of stuff. I like to be home when I'm home and just enjoying, my family and, like I said, my animals and things like that. So,
well, let's head to Brisbane. Claudia, what's your question for Paul?
Love to know. What have you got planned for Australia in terms of your set list this time around?
Spoiler.
Yeah, it's a good question. We got so many songs, and it's kind of a weird scenario going on right now with the whole. This has never happened to us coming over there, and the album our new album, which we should be in support of, unfortunately is not going to be out yet, and it was supposed to be out at this time. So we had a little bit of a dilemma going with all the scheduling, knowing that we're going to be in Australia and the new album is not going to be out. So, but it's coming out soon after, and we have a lot of other touring to be done. So we really want to get the new songs into the set list. Unfortunately, some of them, and most of you and all of you guys will have never heard some of these songs, So it's kind of a cool thing, but then it's kind of a thing at the end of the day. It'd been nice for everybody to know some of these songs. So we're going to throw in some new stuff. And like I said, it'll be a few, obviously, and, no one's ever heard. And then we just got to have a decent mix of all the older songs, the whole career of the band. We like to kind of represent every era if possible. It gets harder these days when we have more albums and everything. So I think we're just going to have a good mix of songs throughout our career, basically, with like I said, with a splash of some new songs in there. So I think the fans, I think you guys won't be disappointed in what we're playing. I hope not.
Just quickly, Paul, on the new album situation, I've kind of been told on good authority that the new record will be out and available for sale at the shows when you hit Australia. That's kind of what I've been told as far as the Australian distributor, so that seems to be very good news if it does, go ahead. So that's just something to keep in mind for the fans, so good stuff.
Sure, yeah, good. I didn't know that, so if that's the case, that's a big plus, so hopefully that is the case.
All right, well, let's head to Perth and chat with Oliver Udall. He has another question for Paul. Go ahead, Oliver.
Hey, okay, so I know you guys are on the road a lot, so I was kind of wondering how the band members keep fit and healthy while traveling.
Well, it's just trying to stay active, I think. Trying to just eat as well as you can. I think we're all kind of getting a little more health conscious in that way. The older you get, yes, exactly. We have to maintain our stamina and our energy, and you need to do the things that are gonna help you do that, maintain that. So really, it's if you can, it's just the basics like that. Sleeping well, trying to get as much sleep as you can, eating as well as you can, staying hydrated. I know a lot of the guys and a lot of band guys like to just actually work out. They bring weights or what have you to be able to do that on their own time and not have to worry about anything else, finding somewhere to go lift some weights. So Pat likes to do that, Alex as well. They like to, just kind of, if not, find a gym in the afternoon, somewhere where you can do that. So, or, even take a run or what have you. Pat's been liking to do that. And, but for me personally, it's just really staying kind of active. If I'm playing drums every day, which I am, and, that's what I need to conserve my energy for. I think I've taught my body and kind of like learned over the years to, I don't need to do much. If I play every day, and like I said, as long as I got, enough sleep and I'm hydrated and I ate well enough, then I should be able to go, and maintain this every day. But yeah, I mean, it's always good just to at least, take some walks and things like that, see some stuff. I mean, just staying active because, it is tough being out on the road for a long period of time. And, you need to have your energy and you have to be, giving it 100% every night, but it really just comes down to the basics, I think.
And what does George do with his neck?
He just keeps headbanging. That's it. I think as long as he gets his headbanging, every night, which he does, then, he can rest it for the rest of the time he's off stage, and then he'll be ready to do it again. So I think that's just been years of neck abuse for him, so he's used to that.
It's unbelievable. All right, let's head to Perth now. Of course, as I mentioned, Kane Hardy is flying across to Adelaide for the show. And what's your question for Paul, Kane?
Metallica or Megadeth?
Metallica. Always. Metallica was one of the biggest influences for me growing up. I mean, when I first discovered Metallica, when they first came out, it was, wow, what is this band? And I'll never forget hearing the song Creeping Death for the very first time when Ride the Lightning came out. And we didn't know that it was Metallica because it was such a big jump up from Kill 'Em All. and me and my buddies were listening to the song going, oh my God, what is this? This is the best song in the world, the best riff ever. I mean, whoa. And we found out it was Metallica, and we were just blown away. And I remember seeing them then a couple of months later on that tour. And it was the best thing I ever witnessed. That was probably the best experience of my life, seeing Metallica on the Ride the Lightning tour in a little, club kind of situation. So, and then I remember Megadeth coming out, and I liked the first album. But it still wasn't Metallica. Metallica were just, brutal. They were just intense. They were just had everything. What I wanted to hear. And when I listened to Megadeth, it was good, but it wasn't blowing me away like Metallica did. So I respect Megadeth a lot and Mustaine and all, but it's Metallica by far. That's for sure.
Well, I reckon we can sort of squeeze in another question each from everybody. So we'll go with Oliver Udall in Perth. What's your final question to Paul?
Okay, as a drummer, what would your favourite rudiment be? Was it the paradiddle, perchance?
Yeah, I mean, the paradiddle's a pretty standard rudiment that I think you have to love, right? So I'll go with the paradiddle because I'm not a big rudiment guy. I'll tell you that, but I'll stick with with what the basics are on that for this answer as well. I'm going with the paradiddle.
Well, let's go with Claudia in Brisbane. What's your final question for Paul, Claudia?
Would love to know, when you are chilling out having a drink, what is on your stereo?
Well, I like to listen to a lot of classic rock. I mean, I'm a big classic rock guy. I love the era from around 68 to 73. There's that musical era for classic rock to me is just so pure and so amazing. I don't know. But, bands like Steppenwolf and Bad Company, just all those kind of bands from the day that I'm just really, really fond of, So more than likely you're going to find some sort of classic rock that I'm playing.
And Sean Geitman from Melbourne, what's your final question for Paul Mazurkiewicz?
You beat me to a question about Course Grinders next. I'm going to have to go with, do you have any particular rituals or anything, or any other band members that you go through before a show?
Not really. I think it's just all kind of, everyone's just getting warmed up basically on their own, going through, getting the fingers warmed up. Alex likes to just play for a good hour, Pat the same way. I don't think Rob doesn't seem to play too much before the show. George just kind of just do whatever, I mean, and I'm just kind of getting the blood loose, the blood flowing, I guess, the arms loose and limbs loose. So yeah, nothing really in particular, nothing that we have to do or say or be a part of. I mean, so, it's just really kind of getting us all each, doing their own thing to get mentally prepared for the show. So.
Kane Hardy from Perth heading to Adelaide. So is now here to ask you, Paul, his final question. What's your question, Kane?
Would you ever consider doing a reunion show with Chris Barnes?
Well, that question's been brought up to us before, and that idea and all that, and we've entertained the idea, but I really, really doubt it'll ever happen. I think we feel that we're kind of going backwards. If we were to do something like that, because we're doing as well as we are with the lineup that we have, and this is Cannibal Corpse. So for us to do that, it really feels like we would be going backwards, So I highly, highly doubt that will ever happen. So.
Well, I've got a quick question for you, Paul. I know you were talking about a lot of the classic rock tunes that you've been checking out in your spare time. Obviously, your former bandmate Chris Barnes with 6 Feet Under did the Graveyard Classics. What was your take? Did you end up ever hearing any of those renditions of some of those classic songs that were kind of brutalized?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I did, and we all have. Yeah, I mean, to each their own, I guess. But yeah, I think some things are just better left alone.
Agree.
Yeah, I think those guys did as well as they could musically. To try to replicate some of these songs and be more of a death metal-y kind of heavier fashion. But yeah, I think when you throw kind of death metal lyrics over some of these songs, it's losing the point of the song. So yeah, I don't think any of us were really really keen or big fans on any of those renditions that he ended up doing. So we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I could continue on, but we will leave it at that. Let's go to Dylan Porter from Sydney. Your final question to Paul.
Yeah, Paul, there's so many Cannibal Corpse songs that I love that I've never had the chance to hear live. Just wondering, what's one of your favorite songs of yours that you guys haven't had the chance to play out yet?
Yeah, it is tough, with so many albums and before you know it, you run through and you're going, oh man, that song's not in the set, or or that one, we'd love to do that, but there's only so much time. So it's a good question. Yeah, gosh, I mean, a lot of my favorites end up being in the set. Like a song like "Make Them Suffer." If we're gonna go, talk about the ones that I actually do really, really love to play. I mean, "Make Them Suffer" is one of those songs. "Scourge of Iron's one of those songs, and of course, "Hammer Smashed Face" is one of those songs when you know the reaction you're going to get from the fans. But it's hard to say. There's so many good songs. Wouldn't mind bringing back a song like. We have it out. It's been out of the set for a little while. A song like "Pit of Zombies." I really love to play that song live. It's a lot of fun, and we were doing it, and it's been out for a little while. So I don't know if that'll make its way back in, but that's a song that I really like to play live.
Well, I got a quick question for you, Paul. Looking back at the lengthy career that you've had with Cannibal Corpse, and just seeing so many bands come and go. Which are some of the bands you wish hadn't have sort of broken up that were sort of along the ride with you guys? Doesn't have to be within the same sort of death metal genre, but I guess within sort of heavy music in general.
Well, I mean, it's just crazy exactly to see how, bands that we started with that, are still kicking or maybe they're not, or things have changed tremendously throughout, their camps or whatever. I mean, bands like, like Immolation, one of our favorite bands and one of our buddies and everything. And I'm glad they're still going and all that. And it really, it just, I wish they would have had just better success, overall throughout their careers. I know they're doing well and they do have great success, but, it would have been great if they would have just, be bigger than they are, to the public, but it's cool to see bands I'm glad bands are back that kind of gave up a little bit, Suffocation. It's cool that they, at least came back to keep it going and all that. And, I don't know. I just wish bands like Deicide would still be together. I definitely like having, original bands together. So, when you got a band like Deicide that could have been the next Slayer, they could have been so huge, and then for some reason they just, it's just not, it is what it is. But I wish the original guys would still be there, kind of like Slayer. I mean, it really stinks that Dave is out of the band to me. Obviously, Jeff is gone, and there's nothing you can do about that. And we were fortunate to be able to tour with the original lineup in 2009 on that one Mayhem Fest we did. But it's just, to me, it's not Slayer anymore. Then now, I mean, so. Yeah, so it is crazy how things, bands come and go, and some bands still kick it, but they're kind of like thrown to the side or what have you. A band like Sacrifice, that's another one, big huge influence on us from Toronto. Came out with some great albums in the early late '80s, and they're early in their career, and then basically nothing happened with them that much, and they're still around, they're still going, they're still the 4 original members, and man, I wish they would have gotten huge, and unfortunately that's just not the case. So yeah, it's crazy how things happen throughout life, and how we've gotten to this point of being one of the biggest bands out there in death metal. And who are we, or why are we any different, or why us and not somebody else? So yeah, it's just crazy how things go. So
Well, thanks so much again for your time, Paul. We do truly appreciate it. And again, congratulations to all the winners who participated in this competition. We just got a bit of a roll call here again and say thanks to Dylan Porter from Sydney. Say thanks to Paul.
Yeah, thanks, Ace, Paul. Looking forward to seeing you at the gig in Sydney.
Okay, thanks, Dylan. I appreciate it, man.
No worries. And Claudia in Brisbane, just a couple of last goodbyes to Paul before you catch them at their Brisbane show on Saturday.
Yeah, thank you for your time, and we look forward to seeing you.
Well, thank you, Claudia. Nice talking to you, and we'll see you soon.
No worries. And let's head to Perth because, of course, the band kick off their first show tomorrow night at the Capitol. And Oliver Udall want to say his sort of goodbyes before he catches a band in 24 hours' time.
Yes, thank you very much for the chat, and yeah, it's been great. Looking forward to the show.
No worries.
Thanks. All right, thanks, Oliver. We'll see you soon.
And of course, let's head to Melbourne. They are playing at the Billboard venue, well, 170 Russell it's called these days, on Friday. Sean Geitman, a couple of last words to Paul.
Thanks very much, Paul, for the chat. I can't wait to see you Friday, so happy birthday again, and yeah, look forward to the show on Friday.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Thank you.
And of course, Kane Hardy, who's, taken the stripes on this one from flying from Perth all the way to Adelaide to catch the show at Fowler's Live happening on Wednesday due to age restrictions. Shows true dedication to the cause of corpse. I want to say a couple of last words to Paul Kane.
Yeah, thanks for your time, man. We're looking forward to the show on Wednesday.
Well, thank you, Kane. I'm sorry you have to travel all that way, but I'm appreciate that you're doing that. So I hope you have a great time.
Good stuff. And again, thanks everyone for tuning in. Don't forget, this is, of course, Australia's only dedicated 24/7 rock metal radio station right here on andrewhogue.com. And don't forget, you can also download our free iPhone and Android apps. That way you've got us in your pockets 24/7. We're always here for you. And we'll let Paul do the honours of choosing his favourite Cannibal Corpse track, well, at least one of them, to wrap up this roundtable discussion.
Well, let's say, how about we do something from the last record and Torture, and let's go with the song As Deep as the Knife Will Go.
Thanks again, Paul, and of course, travel safe, and look forward to, of course, the Australian tour kicking off tomorrow night in Perth, and thanks everybody else for participating. Horns up.
All right, thank you guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Let's check out some Cannibal Corpse now, right here on andrewhogue.com.